Understanding networking is crucial for any aspiring hacker. In many situations, you'll be hacking something over a network, and a good hacker needs to know how to connect to and interact with that network. I am in a Linux environment. For my case I'm using Kali Linux. Welcome in this video where I will show you some essential Linux tools for analyzing and managing networks during your network hacking adventures. Fire up your Linux terminal and enter the first command, which is ifconfig. As you can see, the command ifconfig shows some useful information about the active network interfaces on the system. At the top of the output is the name of the first detected interface, which is ETH0, which is a short form of Ethernet 0. It's because Linux starts counting at 0 rather than 1, that's why the first is Ethernet 0. If there were more wired Ethernet interfaces on this system, they would show up in the output using the same format of ETH1, ETH2, ETH3 and so on. The second line contains information on the IP address, which stands for Internet Protocol currently assigned to that network interface, which, in this case, is 192.168.123.167, but yours may be different depending on your location. I will discuss the other lines later as we go on. Command number 2 is iwconfig. This command checks for wireless network devices. The information you can glean from this command is particularly important when you're using wireless hacking tools like AirCrackNG. Using the terminal, let's take a look at some wireless devices with iwconfig. As you can see, the output here tells us that the only network interface with wireless extensions is WLAN 0, which is what we would expect, because neither LO nor ETH0 has any wireless extensions. As a hacker, being able to change your IP address and other network information is a useful skill because it will help you access other networks while appearing as a trusted device on those networks, and therefore changing your network information is crucial. This is a relatively simple task in Linux, and it's done with the ifconfig command I talked about earlier. It's only that this time will issue more options. In your terminal, enter ifconfig followed by the interface you want to reassign, and the new IP address you want assigned to that interface. For example, in my case, I want to assign the IP address 192.268.123.111 to the interface ETH0 and change the current IP address. When you do this correctly, Linux will simply return the command prompt and say nothing, an indication of a good thing. Then, when you again check your network connections with ifconfig, you should see that your IP address has changed to the new IP address you just assigned. As a hacker, you should also change your MAC address to enhance anonymity or hide who you really are. You can achieve that by the use ifconfig command to change your MAC address. The MAC address is globally unique and is often used as a security measure to keep hackers out of networks, or to trace them. Changing your MAC address to spoof a different MAC address is almost trivial and neutralizes those security measures. To spoof your MAC address, simply use the ifconfig command, then add down option to take down the interface, which is ETH0 in this case. Then enter the ifconfig command followed by the interface name. For this case is HW for hardware and Ether for Ethernet. And the new spoofed MAC address. Finally, bring the interface back up with the up option for the change to take place. Now, when you check your settings with ifconfig, you should see that HW address has changed to your new spoofed IP address. Now, in some cases, you may want to use another DNS server. To do so, we will edit a plaintext file named etc resolve configuration on the system. Open that file in a text editor, in this case I'm using Nano. Then, on your command line, Enter the precise name of your editor followed by the location of the file and the filename. As you can see on line 3, my name server is set to a local DNS server at 192.168.123.2. That works fine, but if I want to replace the DNS server with, let's say, Google's public DNS server at 8.8.8.8, I could replace that in the etc resolve configuration file to specify the name server. That's the end of today's tutorial. Subscribe to this channel to enjoy more similar tutorials.